Patterson. P-Town, Silk City represent the Cardinals and all that.
No doubt.
We gotta give it to him, right? Patterson, like I said, is gritty. They even had a movie on Netflix that talked about a little girl.
Oh yeah, Genesis. I mentioned her in the song "Feel Me" too.
Yeah, I know.
That was really big and everybody in the city. That was like a moment where everybody had to like pretty much shut the fuck up and be like, "What's going on?"
Yeah, that was a very gut-wrenching story to actually see. Because if you have a little girl or you grow up in a community where people are really doing hard, to make it harder is
right.
You know. And wow, even taking that turn into the interview, and we talked about great talents coming from Patterson. You're a great talent.
Right.
So let's talk about wordplay. And I've heard you spit in a freestyle twice.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Fat Boy Sharif, Cloud Atlas video coming soon.
Yes,
It's not out by the time this come out. And I've heard you spit in, just like that city, you have an aggressive clarity to your style. What makes you spit the way you do? And why do you want, what makes you spit the way you do? And why do you feel as an MC you gotta grab the attention of the listener to make them hear you, not just listen to you?
Damn, that's a deep question. When I go about my music, man, I kind of like, I want to set a vibe off. Like, part of me doing my music is just, I like to uplift with my music. I want to make people feel better about themselves. Whatever situation they in life, you know, we go through things, so I always want to make my music first and foremost be something that when you listen to, you could be like, you know what, man, today is gonna be alright. You know, this year is gonna be alright. I'm gonna do my thing, even though it's hard. I'm gonna do my thing. So that's first and foremost. As far as like the wordplay and the lyrics, it's really a lot of layers to it, man. You know, I started out as a kid just wanting to be like a superior lyricist, listening to all the old school guys from like KRS-One and Rakim up to Nas and Biggie and anybody you want to name. That was my first goal. Like, once I really mastered my lyrics and the wordplay and the craft, that's when I started focusing more on concepts and getting across, being creative, doing different things, and then working sonically on everything to make sure it's something that people have on repeat. So it's a lot of layers to it. But what was the last question you asked? You said what?
What's your style? Why do you feel it's important to grab somebody
to grab the attention? And it's funny you say that, because my style is kind of like, sometimes people might say monotone, or they might say, you know, it's more, it's chill in a way, but it does grab you, and it could amp you up without me having to yell or do too much extra shit. Why do I feel like it's important to grab the attention? Well, I mean, lyrics are important. As much as I focus on the sonic bass and the you know, I love production, I love melody, flow, vocal tone. I learn a little bit of everything every day, how to expand on just the sound. But when it comes to like what I'm saying, it's just important because that's what is gonna affect people. Like, the sound might catch you first, but I spit the shit I spit to help out, to relate to maybe even teach, to even just entertain, whatever it is at that particular moment. There's a lot of reasons why, but to grab the attention is important because, like I said, you want to get it through that mental. It might be something as simple as what certain dudes did for me, where I'm like, you know what, I could be myself. I ain't gotta put on a mask or try to act like everybody else. You know, I could be myself. So whatever way that I'm reaching somebody, if I don't grab the attention, then it's not gonna reach them and get into their head the way that I want it to. So it's mad important.
Off of what you said, two questions popped into my mind, and I'm gonna talk about the first one, and then we're gonna lead into the second one. The first one about the monotone thing.
Yeah.
Guru was a monotone rapper.
Right, and I thought of him when I said that. Yeah.
He's one of the greats. And when you talk about somebody who can get you amped, yet be chill at the same time, think about the song No Bodyguards by Gangstar.
Okay,
think about Soliloquy of Chaos,
yeah,
which is one of the dopest songs ever made.
Facts.
If you really listen to it. So that's not a drawback to who you are as an MC. That's actually something that heightens your skill.
Right.
Because you're beating sound through words. What does that mean to you?
Beating sound through words. That's something I gotta really analyze. But I guess the reason why I said that too is because when it comes to like MCs like Nas or even like a J. Cole, sometimes you'll get them people that they not into like that monotone style. They might be like, this is boring or whatever. And it might even be more so especially for those particular MCs that if you don't like listening to lyrics, you might not even listen to their music. If you're just looking for, you know, Nas always got criticized for his beat choices and things like that.
So the Razzcast.
And there's a lot of things that go into it. So, and that's another layer to it, is that I never wanted to be that guy that people was like, yo, and I'm not dissing nobody, because when I say that about Nas, that's just like a common fact. But Nas is, to me, one of the greatest artists of all time. So that's not coming from me. But, you know, that's why I always worked on my things sonically and just overall get people grooving, or just something you want to smoke to, whatever the case may be, because my boy taught me that. I got a homeboy from Florida that he was like, yo, Cause, I'm going to be straight up honest with you. And there's people out there that's like this, where we might be around motherfuckers that really listen. He was like, yo, I don't care what they saying. I don't care if you lie. I just want to hear some dope shit. Mind you, this is a very casual listener, but a lot of people are casual listeners, especially in this generation. Sadly, or however you want to say it, I feel like there's less people that are big music heads nowadays. So, you know, it was something that I worked into my shit. Like, okay, there's some people that's not gonna give me no extra credit because I'm a dope lyricist or for my message, or some people not even listening to that. So to be a universal artist, I had to learn how to make it well-rounded for at least the majority of people that I want to reach. You know, it's not for everybody. Nobody's music is for everybody in the world, but just to reach that universal platform and stuff like that.
And that goes to my second question, is how do you pick your sound? Because the thing that made Guru dope is he found his lane.
Right.
Whether it was Jazzmatazz or Primo. There's a song out that Guru did with Biggie. I think it's a bunch of niggas.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Biggie and Heavy D.
Yeah, that's
that
right.
wasn't the Guru we got on Gangstar. And today, the internet killed hip hop. I don't care what anybody says. As much as it's something for everybody to get heard, now you get flooded with bullshit. And people who make music an industry and not a lifestyle, they just make money and use it. So in going through the mud and getting through the bullshit, how do you pick your sound and know that this is right for you to release with your voice on the track?
It was a long time coming, man, because I was so into my lyrics when I was like 14, right? And I wasn't even writing to no beats. I was literally just with a notepad, pages upon pages, literally just working on, you could say flow too, but it was mostly for the lyrics. That's what I was focusing on. So like when I first started doing like mixtapes and, you know, being like 19, 20, starting to get out there on the scene, I remember some of my first mixtapes, my boy that I just knew had a good ear, I would be like, yo, tell me what's dope. And this is a dude that, you know, I grew up a lot of like an introvert. My boy was like a street dude that he knew everybody throughout the city. Anywhere we go, wherever it was popping at, like he was cool with everybody. So I knew that he had a more ear for it because he would always be out. He knew what everybody was listening to. So it took me a while to really get to the point where I could build my own sound, because at first it took me a while to know how to really pick the dope beats that people would gravitate to and stuff like that. But you know, through everything, you know, through practice comes everything. So eventually, I don't know, at first I was doing, I gravitated to a lot more soulful beats. I was in a group called The Cause of Knowledge, so our first EP was called Jersey Shore EP, and we made it at the time to combat the show Jersey Shore, and just to say that there's more going on than the rest of the world to know, because even my boy from New York was like, that's all we think about, y'all. And to me that was like a backpack sound. It was more like soulful boom bap beats, but then me and the dude Knowledge did an album called Discovery. Now this was more experimental. This is when I not only got heavy into soul, neo soul, and heavy into the Dungeon family when it comes to hip hop. So it was like more experimental, and I think that's maybe where more of the alternative sound, if anything, came from. And I'm very inspired by that. Just people that, it could be like, you know, people who fail to remember that they would call like Black Star alternative, groups like that. So, or, you know, it might have turned into Backpack, but Fugees, Outkast, these are groups that were considered alternative, at least for their time. Now they might look at them like they just, you know, they legends, so they might look at them like everything else. But something like Aquemini was totally different for that time than like Hard Knock Life, you feel me? So I'm very inspired by people that push boundaries. So I never wanted to like limit myself. Even when it comes to me coming up in the underground, there will be dudes that like when trap music came out, a lot of people didn't know what to make out of it and stuff like that. And it was kind of like a sub-genre in their own lane. It came to the point where it's like that style sonically took over so much. And a lot of dudes I know would shy away from it because they would feel like this is whatever. And I'm like, I don't shy away from nothing. You might hear me. It's like my old head Twilight, he inspires me a lot. He'll tell you, like, you might see me on a rock beat. You might see me on a neo soul beat. It's like, it's all about finding what works for you. It's not necessarily being different for the purpose of being different, but it's just not putting yourself in a box. So when it comes to that, whether it's trap orientated, boom bap, whether it's some groovy hippie neo soul shit, whatever the case may be, I just do what feels right to me. And ultimately, if I could play it back a million times, I know that there's other people that'll play it back a million times.
You know, it's dope though. I hear your voice on No ID beats.
That'd be fire.
I think that's the type of MC you are. When I listen to your music, you reminded me of Terror Squad.
Okay.
You have a very prospect. Okay,
like, that's deep.
This guy's kind of ill in his own right.
That's deep.
And the thing that made me go that way is because you have pattern flow, not rhyme flow.
Okay.
And I want to touch on that in the next part of the interview, if you don't mind.
No doubt.